Detroit has always had a hidden side, from cars the public never got to see, to concepts that appeared once and then vanished without a trace. Some were built purely for show, while others actually deserved a spot on the production line, but were suddenly shelved. In this video, we're diving into those cars. If you're ready, here are 11 American cars history quietly forgot. Number 11, Rossion Q1. A company in Florida did something unusual in 2007. They purchased the production rights to the British Noble M400 and quietly started building their own version. They called it the Rossion Q1. The body was a carbon Kevlar shell, and sitting in the middle was a 3.0-liter twin-turbocharged Ford Duratec V6 pushing 500 horsepower. 0 to 60 came up in just 3.4 seconds. Top speed hit 185 miles per hour. There were no airbags, no ABS, no traction control, which technically classified it as a kit car under federal regulations. Between 2007 and 2018, roughly 89 were built. No showroom, no advertising campaign, no press tours. It was sold almost exclusively to people who already knew it existed. This thing could embarrass a Ferrari on a slalom course, and most car enthusiasts have never even heard its name. Number 10, 1986, Pontiac Transport Concept. At the 1986 Chicago Auto Show, Pontiac rolled out something nobody expected from a minivan. The Transport Concept came with a panoramic glass roof stretching nearly the entire length of the car, gull-wing rear doors, a built-in Nintendo gaming system, and an onboard computer controlled entirely from buttons on the steering wheel. Power came from a turbocharged 2.9-liter V6 producing 235 horsepower, the same engine Pontiac had been considering for the Fiero GT. People at the show were genuinely stunned. Some tried to place orders on the spot. GM approved it for production, but when the real car arrived in 1990, the glass roof was gone, the gull-wing doors had disappeared, and the engine had been downsized. What remained was a controversial nose design that earned the car an unfortunate nickname, the Dustbuster. The concept had outrun its own legacy before the production line even started. Number 9, 1968 Chevrolet Astro II. In 1968, while Ford was celebrating the GT40's back-to-back Le Mans victories, Chevrolet quietly walked into the New York Auto Show with their own answer. The Astro II, internally known as the XP880, was chief engineer Zora Arkus Duntov's clearest vision yet of what a mid-engine Corvette could be. A 427 cubic inch big block V8 sat behind the cockpit, producing around 400 horsepower. Duntov's team reversed the drivetrain layout, positioning the crankshaft beneath the seats and the accessory drives toward the rear. At 3,300 pounds, it was 300 pounds lighter than the production Corvette of the same year. Track testing recorded 1.0 G cornering capability. GM management looked at the Corvette's record sales numbers and decided there was no reason to take the risk. The mid-engine dream was locked away. 52 years later, the C8 Corvette finally made it real. The single prototype sits in GM's Heritage Collection today. Number 8, 1987 Oldsmobile Aerotech. In the summer of 1987, Oldsmobile drove out to a test facility in Fort Stockton, Texas, and broke a world record that wouldn't be officially beaten for nearly 2 decades. The Aerotech was built around a 2.3-liter quad 4 engine, single turbo version producing around 900 horsepower, twin turbo version pushing past 1,000. 4-time Indianapolis 500 champion A.J. Foyt climbed into the short tail version on August 27th and recorded a closed course speed of 257.123 miles per hour. The long tail version reached 267 miles per hour with straight line bursts approaching 290. For context, that figure sat above what the Bugatti Veyron would achieve when it arrived 18 years later. The carbon fiber body weighed just over 1,500 kilograms. The chassis borrowed its foundation from an Indy car. It never entered production. It never won a single road test comparison. It just went out to the Texas desert and quietly rewrote the record books. Number 7, 1967 Dodge Deora. This one didn't come from a design studio or a corporate concept team. It came from 2 brothers. In 1964, designer Harry Bentley Bradley approached Mike and Larry Alexander, a pair of Detroit area customizers, with a challenge. Take a 1965 Dodge A100 pickup and completely reimagine it. The windshield they used came from a 1960 Ford station wagon rear hatch. The engine was moved 15 inches rearward. The cab was stripped and replaced replaced with an open cockpit accessed by lifting the entire front end upward like a clamshell hood. At the 1967 Detroit Autorama, the Deora walked away with 9 awards, including the prestigious Riddler Award. Chrysler liked it so much they leased the car for 2 years and displayed it alongside their own factory concepts. In 1968, it became one of the original 16 Hot Wheels models, cementing its place in pop culture. At a 2009 auction, it sold for $324,500. Two brothers built this in a garage. Number 6, 1992 GM Ultralite. When the federal government floated the idea that a 100 miles per gallon car was achievable, most automakers quietly ignored it. GM decided to answer the challenge directly. The result was the Ultralite. The carbon fiber monocoque body was built by Burt Rutan's Scaled Composites, the same company behind record-breaking experimental aircraft, and weighed just 420 pounds on its own. Total vehicle weight came in at 1,400 pounds. A rear-mounted 1.5-liter 3-cylinder 2-stroke engine produced 111 horsepower. EPA testing returned 88 miles per gallon in mixed driving, and at a steady 50 miles per hour, the number crossed 100. 0 to 60 took 7.8 seconds, and top speed reached 135 miles per hour. Its drag coefficient of 0.19 would embarrass most modern production cars. Gull-wing doors, a B-pillar-free frame, and fiber optic headlights rounded out the package. Carbon fiber costs made production impossible. In 1993, the car landed a film role as a futuristic Chevrolet police cruiser in Demolition Man. Number 5, 1997 Pontiac Rageous. At the 1997 Detroit Auto Show, Pontiac parked something on the floor that made the entire room stop. The Rageous was a 4-door performance sedan with a 5.7-liter V8 producing 315 horsepower, a 5-speed manual transmission, and rear-wheel drive. Despite its size, it was engineered to reach 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 5.5 seconds, drawing on Corvette-sourced independent suspension components front and rear. Suicide-style rear doors opened against the direction of travel. The trunk was both a hinged deck lid and a liftback, offering 49 cubic feet of cargo space. Inside, a heads-up display, a trackball mouse embedded in the center console, and 4 crossbody harness belts. Dealers requested production immediately. Younger buyers were drawn in. GM called it too risky and incompatible with their volume strategy. Instead, Pontiac moved forward with the Aztec. Walter White drove an Aztec. That one sentence tells you everything about that decision. Number 4, 1997 Dodge Copperhead. By 1997, the Dodge Viper was sitting at $66,000, a price that was pushing a lot of potential buyers toward European alternatives. Dodge's answer was the Copperhead, a roadster priced at a $30,000 target, powered by a 2.7-liter DOHC V6 producing 220 horsepower, backed by a 5-speed manual and rear-wheel drive. The platform used a modified neon floor pan, but the body was 3 inches narrower than the Viper, 8 inches shorter in overall length, and rode on a 12-inch longer wheelbase for sharper handling balance. The paint, 37 individual layers of copper-fire orange, was matched by snakeskin textured seat leather and console trim. Production was scheduled for 2000. Then the Chrysler-Daimler merger happened, and suddenly, Mercedes had the SLK sitting in the same segment. The Copperhead was quietly shelved and eventually evolved into the Chrysler Crossfire. The single prototype still exists in a private collection. 37 layers of paint and never driven again. Number 3, 2016 Rezvani Beast Alpha. Most people who see a Rezvani on the road assume it's European. It isn't. Rezvani Motors was founded in Irvine, California in 2013. Their first car, the Beast, was an open roadster built around an Ariel Atom architecture. The Beast Alpha arrived in 2016 as the enclosed version, and it brought serious credentials with it. A Honda K24 block was handed to Cosworth for a full rebuild. The result was a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder producing 500 horsepower in a car weighing just under 1,950 pounds. 0 to 60 took 3.5 seconds. Top speed reached 175 miles per hour. Sidewinder doors slid forward and outward to open. No airbags, no ABS, no traction control. Kit car territory again. The starting price was $200,000 at launch, later dropping to $95,000. Total production numbers were never publicly disclosed. Enrique Iglesias featured one in a music video. Most people who see it still ask the same question. Is this American? Yes, entirely. Number 2, 1976 Chevrolet Aerovette. Zora Arkus Duntov spent the better part of 2 decades trying to move the Corvette's engine behind the driver. The XP882, the XP895, the 4-rotor Corvette. Each attempt ran into the same wall at the executive level. In 1976, GM design director Bill Mitchell pulled a 4-rotor concept that had been sitting in storage since 1973, removed the Wankel rotary engine, dropped in a 400 cubic inch V8, added gull-wing doors, and named it the Aerovette. For a brief window, GM's board approved it as the basis for the 1980 C4 Corvette. Then Duntov, Mitchell, and program champion Ed Cole all retired within the same period. Their replacement, Dave McClellan, reviewed the sales data on mid-engine cars and canceled the program. 44 years passed. The C8 Corvette arrived in 2020 with the engine exactly where Duntov always said it belonged. The Aerovette sits in GM's Heritage Collection today, its gull-wing doors permanently closed. Number 1. 1981 Dodge M4S Turbo Interceptor. In 1981, Chrysler and PPG Industries built a car not to sell, but simply to find out how fast they could go. A 2.2-liter 4-cylinder fitted with a Cosworth DOHC head and 2 Garrett T25 turbochargers produced 440 horsepower. On a closed test circuit in Ohio, IndyCar driver Graham McRae climbed in and recorded a verified top speed of 194.8 miles per hour. 0 to 60 took 4.1 seconds. Drag coefficient 0.236. The project cost $1.5 million and had no production plan. In 1986, Chrysler leased it to a film company. Charlie Sheen drove it in the Wraith under the name Turbo Interceptor. 4 originals were built, 6 film replicas were made, and 4 of those replicas were destroyed during shooting. One surviving original now lives in comedian Jeff Dunham's private collection. Dodge never built it for the public. Nothing else made in America that year could keep up with it.